let's get right into it, as they like to say on YouTube. So to start with, I'm just going to create two tabs. I'm going to rename this one Schedule. And I will be creating another tab that I will be calling Settings. So it looks professional a little bit. And in the settings, so we'll be using this one to put some validations and also to have some cells named cells. So I'm just going to have a couple of named cells on this tab. I don't want to name too many cells, otherwise it might get confusing. I think it's better if we refer to the cell numbers themselves as much as we can. So in this tab here, the schedule tab, there will be the task will be listed here, but under I just wanted to put the preferences here a little bit below. You could always move them to a different tab, but I think it's very useful to start with. This way you can change all the preferences and see them on the Gantt chart itself as you input them. So here we will have some preference settings, and I will put the value of the preference and then the cell name. So it will be all clear when we progress. Now, for the task themselves, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm just going to copy this way I don't have to type and explain at the same time. Okay, so this is the headings of the task. So I'm starting to the line number 4. So here, so this is the task name will be here. I can give it a little bit more room. The name of the resource will be here. So here, what I've done here is I'm just, also if you're interested, if you don't know this, I'm just inputting a value here and duration, and I just select the two cells, and I'm going to format, and I format alignment, horizontal, I've put central across selections. So instead of merging cells, which can become a little bit messy, I have put the duration here in days. And that will be the total number of days to start with at the beginning of the project when we do the initial assessment. And this column here will be when we want to update, when we want to check how many days they are left to complete that task. From my experience, when you go to someone and you ask them, okay, what's your percentage completion on that task? They usually look you blankly and they don't know. But if you ask them how many days left there is, then they can tell you, oh yes, I have 2 days left. But they're never going to tell you, I have 65% completed. So this is why I prefer to have the number of days to complete the task here. Now, so all those with this yellowish color, so those are hard-coded, so there will not be calculated fields, and the one in white like this will be calculated. So this will be the amount of work done, the days done. This will be the percentage completed I was just mentioning before, but that will be calculated. And on track, this will be automated. I will tell you if we are on track or not. Dependency, so I've made the same centering here. And there is a dependency type that we'll talk about, and the manual date. So just, it might be better as we get into this if I just go and input some values here. Like for instance, I have the start of project could be a task. So I will put everything on size 9, putting the whole sheet on size 9, and the resource could be John, and the duration. Total duration could be, let's say, we've allocated 10 days, and to complete, let's say, as I mentioned, to start with, you would have 0 here. But just for the example, to complete, you have 2, so that means that you have done. That's very simple. So you do 10 minus 2. So that means that if there's only 2 days to complete, we assume that there has been 8 days of work done. And the percentage completed also. Very simple. This amount of work done divided by the total, so that's 80% done. I'm just going to center all those fields so it's a bit simpler. So on track will be calculated later, so that will be using some of these fields, so I will get to it. The dependency type, it's a dependency with the task above. So this is where we'll be going in the settings. So they have three types of dependencies. Manual, so that means you just input the start date manually. There is after, is we have a dependency with a previous task. So that means it will start only when the previous task has been completed, and same as the previous task. So both tasks will be starting at the same time. So what we want to do here, we're going to want to add a validation here. We go to data and we go to validation here, data validation, which is going to my other window. So I'll bring it back. And what we want to put here is a list. Validation settings allow list, and we select on the source. So that is if you don't know how this works, and you just select these three fields. And now we can choose manual, after, or same. So as the first task, I'm going to put manual, which makes sense. And this is where you put your date, maybe 1st of December 22. And all those fields here are calculated. Now, before we go into these calculated fields that are really the engine of this schedule here, we need to add a couple more settings. We have to add our first settings. So the first one, it's today's date. So, and the value of this will be today. So that's a field that we'll use to validate some things. And so this can be hard-coded. You'll understand why, is that this is the date that we use to baseline our project. But if you want to have a look at this project, going back in time, you could still change it. But to start with, we'll just put today's date, which makes sense, I suppose. The second field that we need is, do we work on weekends? And I think this is important because you have this Gantt chart, then you can use it for personal stuff or for work stuff. So it's very useful. So here, we don't really need to, but you could have another validation here that you could say, yes, no validation. So it's a bit neater, I suppose. So this way, if you're too lazy to use your keyboard, you can just use your mouse. And then you do what we've done before. You validate here, list, source. You go in here, you just select those two and done. And then you put work on weekends and start with yes. So this is used for to calculate task completion. So I've just done some formatting here, so it looks a little bit better. So on top of the description, what we can do is, what I wanted to do is to add the name of those cells. So this I will just gonna call it today, and this we're just gonna call it weekend work. So I just put the cell name outside here, so I can remember more easily. But the way we name a cell, there is two ways that you can name a cell. The first way is just you go just on the cell, and here you give it a name by just putting just here in this field here, and you can go here and you can call it weekend work. So now those cells have been named. You go into formula here, name manager, and this is where you see all your names, and you can confirm, yes, this is what I've written, and this is there. You can name your field here, but this is not an Excel training, I suppose. So here, this is the way I've configured it. If the dependency type is after, we add 1 day to the start date of the previous task. If it's same, we just use the start date of the previous task, so they are both would have the same start date, and then otherwise we just go back to manual. So this is how you would fill in this field here. Obviously a little bit of formatting. So this is a note on date formatting is I like to put it under a more global generic format, because here obviously I'm in Australia here, so that would look a little bit strange maybe for the Americans. So the way I like to format it is I'm just going to do a custom one, and I'm just going to put the day like this, the month, and the year like this. So this way it's universal, it's for everyone. I'm just going to put a little dash in between. Not sure if that's required. Okay, so this way we have our dates here. So as we have a manual date set here, so it makes sense that the start date is like this. The next field is the finish date, so the way I typed it is this way. So first we check if we work on weekends. If we don't work on weekends, and we have to use this workday, which allows you to add days, but without taking into account the Saturdays and Sundays. And after we subscribe one, so it takes you to exactly the same day, the same finish day. If we are not on the weekend work, if we don't work on weekends, then it's just a matter of adding the days and subtracting one as well. Done until. So done until, this is the formula for done until. What I wanted to do, I wanted to calculate in theory how much progress has been made and where we should be in a date. So instead, it's exactly the same formula as this one, with the difference is that we use the work completed. So that will take us exactly in theory up until the point where the task has been done. And then that will be able to show on the Gantt chart where we are, what has been done and what has not been done. So it's the same. The difference is that we are using instead the work that has been done as opposed to the initial one. So this is it. So I just wanted to do a little bit formatting. I wanted to format all this. I'll have to give myself a generous amount of rows. But you know, as optional, you can take some rows here and you just group them, outline, group. So this way you can remove them so it doesn't look too cluttered. So you can play with this. Also, as far as formatting is concerned, so that it's clear, so I don't type things in wrong, I like to put a little bit of a lighter shade of the same color here, lighter shade here. So I know that this is where I need to input, and all the others are being calculated. So we've explained all the fields up until this one. Now we just need to do a little bit of formatting. So I said this one, will come back to it. So on track, this is more or less using the done until, and the problem starts when we have only done until the day before today. So in other words, that means that we are late. So here, this is the formula. So the formula is not working at the moment because we need to define two very important fields. So this is part of the name cell, if you like, that I had before. I didn't want to have to tap this strange symbol all the time. So what I'm doing here, I'm just showing you, I've named one cell tick and one cell cross. So this if you like, we call it tick. Go here, call it tick. This one here, we call it cross. And we need to make sure that the font is wingding. So the font here is wingding. And this is just to show what it would look like. So instead of typing these strange characters here, I will just put tick and cross. And I just need to make sure that all these columns here, let me just go back to the full column, make sure that all these columns here are put into the wingding font. Okay, so this seems to be working at the moment. So this is the way it works. If we have finished, we are late when this done until is smaller than today. And also I'm just checking that the task is not completed. So if the days to complete is 0 here, then obviously we are also on track, but we cannot say that we are late if the task is completed, obviously. So it could be a task that has completed in the past, but as it's finished, it's okay. Now before we move on to the Gantt chart part, just wanted to do a bit of formatting, but before I do, I just wanted to add here quickly the project completion date. So the project completion date is not the date of the last task, but it's the date when the latest of all the tasks is completed. So therefore here, I'm just going to put a max of all the finished dates. And that should give me the end date of the project. That's it. So this is the 10th of December, which is the date of the latest. So a little bit of formatting. So I'm just going to clean that up, put everything in the same board here. I would like to have this turn green if there is a big tick. So what I do is I create a new rule. I go use the formula to determine, and I will put the first field here without the dollar, just to make sure it drags along all the rows when it's equal to tick. That's the advantage of having name cells. I will just give it this green here. And then that works, so I just go back to conditional formatting. I duplicate that rule, and I will put, instead of putting tick, I will put cross. And that will give me some red. So I don't like this red, I just want a softer red, so I'll put this one instead. Voilà. Okay, there's another formatting that I like to do is I want to remind us that when there is manual here, we need to put a date, otherwise it doesn't work, obviously, because we say we want a manual date. So I'm just selecting this, conditional formatting, new rule, and just say when the cell value of the field nearby of this one without a dollar is equal to manual, then I want to have the color that I use to make sure that something is inputted there. I don't want to put any big warning, I just wanted to put this way. So if we have a date here that is manual, we want to make sure that we have something here. So if it puts after, so that goes blank, but if it's manual, then we need something here. Okay, so let's just put 1st of October to have be consistent with late. The last piece of formatting that I was showing before was on the introduction, is to for this field you can go to conditional formatting and you can just apply some icons. So the one that I've selected are this one here, but obviously if you prefer some, you can just add the star. It's just to give you a high level view of where we're at. So this is done. This can be formatted with the blue, the complementary color. Now before we go in the Gantt chart, I just wanted to make sure that we have all our preferences ready. So I've pre-input some of those, then I just need to name them. So show schedule from, so this will allow you to have a different view of the Gantt chart. If you want to, let's say you're 6 months in a project or whatever you do and you don't want to see all what happened in the past, then you can just show when the schedule will start on the screen. So this is where you would input your date here, and we're gonna name this cell show from. So I'll be doing here show from this number of days that will be showing on one cell. So if you have you could have 1 day, 5 days, 30 days for monthly, and you can even put 365 days if you like. But this will be days per cell. Here, show grid. So this is because I hesitated so much on showing the grid or not, so that I'm gonna give myself the option to add or remove show grid, and then show today on tasks. Do I want to have really the today's date highlighted on the task? It could look a bit messy, or you might like it, so we have the option to turn it on and off. There is some text here that I've added for reminders, a bit of explanation. But this is it. So now we are ready to start inputting the dates. So the date here will be show from, which is a field that we have defined earlier on. So we don't have much of a format here. It doesn't matter. That should be the date there. So here I put a reference date that we'll use to compare. And then here we have the previous date plus the amount of date that we have days that we have decided, days per cell here, So I'm just going to put here plus this per cell. Okay, and we go do that quite, we copy and paste all this until, let's say, the 𝑏𝑙𝑏𝑛 should give us 1 year on weekly basis. Anyway, we can always adjust that later on, and we will. Under this, we need to put the year, but we don't want to put the year at every cell, so we need to make sure that we only put the year once. So the way we can do this is we are actually checking what is the year of the field before. So if the year of the field before here, which is our reference field, not the same as this year, the year of this, then show the date. Then we copy this field again. Otherwise, we just put nothing. And I'll explain why. Let's just copy that all the way across. Now it's not showing because there's only 1 year. So the reason why I've just left this is because I want to use the formatting instead to make it simpler. And I'm gonna format this just to show the year. 2022. Now that seems to be working. That the next thing is the month. So I'm doing more or less the same thing, but using month this time. Put the date, otherwise just put nothing. And once again, I will be copying that all the way across. Voila. So we should only show it when there's a change of month. And the format of this is I just put MMM just to make sure we only see the month. Okay, so we're making progress. Now the two other fields we need to put is 1, the day of the week, and 2, the date itself. Just copying this date. We're just copying the date from above. I'm just gonna play with formatting. So here as a format, I will be putting the full day, so which is day should give me the full day. And then for this one, I'm just gonna do the same, but I'm just going to format with only 1 or 2 days. That's it. So this one, I'm just going to copy it all the way across. This is it. So we have, this doesn't look good, but hopefully that will improve. So this field is a little bit big. We can start making things look a little bit better. So I will be just taking all this, centralize, making sure it's all the same font, 9. Okay. Now I just wanted to test. If we go back here and you see instead of 1 day, let's say we want every 7 days. See if things have changed. Yes, 7 days, yes. We have we have the month, so everything is looking okay. Now let's just do a bit of formatting on the dates. To start with, let's say we want to have the month of 1 color and alternating at every month. So we're just gonna put this, for instance, this type of color here, this one. And what I want to do is I want to change when there's a change of month. So how do I do this? I just go into the conditional formatting here and I say new rule, use a formula. I'm going to use odd and even. So if the month is odd, then I put 1 color, and if not, then I'll leave the color by default. Use the date is even month of M1 with this color, and then I should be alternating All right, so, and I copy that across. So that's the way I copy my format, just in case if you know where all this, use the little pen brush, put it all the way across, and so that changes the color on the odd month. I'm not fully satisfied with this blue, put another blue here. Just putting another blue, a bit of a deeper blue so we can differentiate. And I'm going to put the font in white. That's it. Okay. That's it. And all these I can put in bold. Okay. Okay, now the day, I'm just going to give, once again, I'm just going to select all, and I'm going to give a bit of a formatting. I'm just going to put this light color here. So I'm just going to format those fields here. I want them to look different on weekend. So I'm going to select those fields. I'm going to go to conditional formatting, new rule, determine which cells, and I'm going to put this. So weekday should be a 1 or 7, and when it's the case, I will put a darker value here. So we have some. Okay, I'm doing the same for the day here. Conditional formatting, new rule. Based on the value, I'm just going to do this. Weekday or 1 or 7. Just going to give it that color here. So what I will take this and I will apply the formatting to everything, and then we have our weekends in a different color. So I'm going to start to bring the cells, a few cells, a little bit closer, so we have a better view of what it starts to look like. Okay, so this is starting to look a little bit better already. Now, what I will do is I will freeze the screen here so we can go freeze pane here. So here, if I change the days, then it should be changing here. Yeah, beautiful. 10, 14 for a fortnight. Okay, very good. And I need to remove this. Okay, so now we are getting very close. We have our dates set up. Now there is just the need to format this, so it just shows the year of the date. So the format, cells, custom, just the year of the date. There you go, done. Now don't worry about this, as I said, this is going to be gone very soon. So now we are going into the formatting of the Gantt chart itself. Now let's get started with the formatting of the Gantt chart. So to start with, we're going to put some values in our cells, and after we're going to hide those values and we're going to put color-coded display instead. Now this is the formula that I will be using. So for every cell we need to check this. So there's 3 status that a cell could be in, if you like. The first status is there was no activity during that period. And how do I know there's been any activity? Well, I will just check the date itself, this range of date, and see if something finished before, then I know it's out, and if something started after, then I know it's out. So this is what I have here in my notes. If the end date of task is smaller than date range, or if the start is greater than range, then there was no work happening in that period. Now, just a note on Excel 365, there are easier ways to do this instead of this nested if and the likes, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody could do this. So this is why I'm using the old version notation, although I have 365 myself, but this way I can be sure that no one is missing out. Now the second thing that we do is done. How do we check this? We check if the task has been completed or left to complete is 0, or if the work done during a date beyond the date range. So that means that if you have done until the 27th, for instance, so all those dates should be shown as done. So this is how we do it. And not done is all the other dates. So it's not out, it's not done, then it's not done. that's it. Do a little bit of formatting here. And here you go. So, and I'm going to drag that all the way around here because we'll be hiding those remember. And then I'm just going to put them here. So as you can see, it's all out, not done. So there's a lot of out for the moment. That's because we don't have that many tasks. But I could add a few tasks here. From now on, everything is in formatting. Now there's going to be a few formatting here, so I'm going to go through them relatively quickly. So the first conditional rule that we put is we want to show today the discrete colors. So I've put it here. If the flag obviously show today is yes on the tasks, the show today is always showing on the headings. And if we are today, obviously we are going to highlight this on the chart, which will look like this. So let's just check if we say show today on task no, so it is not showing. Actually, that reminds me that we haven't really put it today here. That's something that we can do, is we can conditional format this one as well to show today. Which checking if we are today, and if the range includes today. So if that's the case, I'm just going to give it this color. Because I wanted to show, if we have a monthly view, see, I just wanted to show the month where today was. Something else that we want to format is the weekend. We want to put the weekend grayed out if we are not working on weekend. So we'll just do the same. And we put a light gray here. The weekends are being grayed out now. So next we are formatting the cells that shows are done. We can give one type of blue, so cell value equal to done, we do this. So we can see some already. And then we go here and we do manage rules, and we duplicate this rule, and we just do the same for not done, and we just choose a color for something that is not done. So not done, and then we choose a color, and we can take this one for the time being. And then we apply all this. So obviously after we just need to put that across everybody here. So that's starting to show. The only thing left to do as far as formatting is showing this grid here. So conditional formatting, new rule, condition is show grid equal yes. So if the show grid is yes, then we put some grids. So how do we do this? We go to the border, we put the top, the bottom. But I would like to have a bit of not a strong gray. So I'm just going to put something a little bit lighter here. Okay. Now, just a quick note on the grid. We need to make sure that when as we're starting to pile up the conditional formatting, not for this one, but we're starting to pile up the conditional formatting, we need to make sure that all those have really clearly don't have any grids on it. So for instance, this one, we take it and we need to go back to format, border, and make sure that we have none. So if you have a challenge with grids, I think this is something that needs to be done. But now my grids is set up, so if I just press yes, we show the grid, and if it's not, then we don't show it. So now there is just one thing to do, is we need to remove those out and not done. So how do we do that? So we select everything this way, and then we apply the magical formatting, very obscure, that Microsoft is giving us, is 3 times semicolons, just 3 times. It sounds like a strange curse, but, and then it's done. Okay. And we can do the same here, or if we put something on top, it'll be the same. So I think what we can do is we can go to a text box, but we could do the same system and just hide all this, but also we can do something on top, is we can go here and we can say, for instance, project timelines, something along those lines, and then we put a background, we put white, we can put we can center it, we can put it in bold, we can put it here. And this is it. So this is a broader view. We have it all now. We have the preferences, we have the fields. So we need to make sure that all those fields, you know, if we use them at some stage, are also part of the process. They also put them here. We can hide this. Now we can, what we can do is we can also do the same thing. We can group those. We go to data, grouping, and then if we want to remove them, we can remove them, so we can focus on our schedule. So that's pretty much it. And then you can play around with those dates. You have the settings here. You have the flags. You have everything working. You can play with the grid. Yes, no. Show today on task. Yes. That's it, you show it here, days per cell. So you have, if you put 7, you have the weekly view. And obviously, for this one, it's not really worthwhile, but let's say if you had a very long project, 250 days, then I would start to make a little bit more sense. And if you put 30 days, then that's done by the month. So this is showing everything practically done. Show schedule from, once again. You could put the 1st of February 2022, and I will show you all the months where there was no activity, but it's just to show you where you can get started. Work on weekend, yes, no. So if you put yes, then we don't need all those gray areas. Work on weekends, yes. 2 days dead, then once again, if you want to have a historical view, then you can change the 2 days date and pretend that you are another date looking at this project. So that's it. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you can also reproduce it. Just let me know in comments if you would like something added or removed from this.